It's Friday, the 6th of December 2019. This is News Studio with me, Zach Sherman. The headlines. Hundreds of beach workers called on government to settle huge salaries owed by the government of Liberia, but Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Koji promises to intervene. Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations, D. Masra Kemia, takes over as chairman of the African Group of Ambassadors to the United Nations for the month of December. Those plus more package for you on this presentation. Keep watching. Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations, D. Masra Kemia, has taken over the chairmanship of the African Group of Ambassadors to the United Nations for the month of December 2019. As chairman for the month, Ambassador Kemia will coordinate the affairs of the African Group of Ambassadors to the United Nations and serve as its official spokesperson at all United Nations functions, including meetings and high-level conferences. Receiving the gavel of authority at a turnover ceremony at the African Union Observer Mission to the United Nations, Ambassador Kemia described the chairmanship of the African Group as a noteworthy responsibility and pledged his unflinching practical commitment to ensuring that the interests and common objectives of the 54 African countries are met. Meanwhile, turning over the gavel of authority was Ambassador Monsef Batid, who served for the month of November. He said the African Group has selected a wise man. Ambassador Kemia said the initiative will help him boost his professionalism at the level of the United Nations.
Please be assured that your confidence and trust reposed in me will be staunchly upheld. It is indeed an honor to serve as chair of this reputable group, particularly being charged with articulating and projecting the voice of the African group at such a global platform. Chairing 54 African countries at the United Nations is no doubt a noteworthy responsibility, and to this I pledge my unflinching practical commitment to ensure that the interests and common objectives of the 54 African countries will be appropriately articulated, protected, and strengthened, especially at the largest global platform of multilateralism. During my chairmanship, immense focus will be placed on our shared views on matters of African priorities, including peace and security, the intergovernmental negotiations on the reform of the Security Council, and African candidatures, among several others. Under my leadership, we will strengthen our engagement aimed at continuing to forge partnership with other regional blocs at the United Nations.
Well, turning over the gavel of authority was Ambassador Monsef Batid, who served for the month of November, said the African Group has selected a wise man. Ambassador Batid briefed Ambassador Kemia on pending issues, including the expansion of the Advisory Committee on Administrative and Budgetary Questions, an expert body selected by the United Nations General Assembly, strengthening of engagement with regional bodies, and the strengthening of relations with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa.
Brother Kamaya, proud to hand over to you. This is a continuity. When I take over from my colleague from Zambia, I said to him, "You watch your step. You was doing a very good job, and the job you did it in a very professional manner, and we are proud of the achievement during your chairmanship. So I will continue in the same line. I mean that our sister is doing all the work, and just we have to make ourselves in her fits. What I have in mind to stress, only this question of ECBQ, which is still pending, that we have to make an arrangement with the PGA, because some colleagues within the group asked, we have to convey to him an important message, that if we can extend the committee. We know that the PGA is reluctant, because we don't like for him restructuring, is to reduce the number of bodies, reduces the number of meetings, and so on and so forth. So we have to have both in our mind. There is a specific request from some colleagues, and there is, if we can say, the general trends which the PGA, who is one of us, we have to help him, because the success of the PGA is our success.
Manova City Mayor Jefferson Koji has called on beach workers to remain calm as his office finds means in settling their salary issues before the Christmas festivity. Hundreds of beach and waterways workers Friday converged in Claratown to present their plight to Mayor Koji for redress. Mr. Koji told the leadership of the workers to join him at his office for a discussion on December 17.
Anger is not a solution. When you get angry, you do any other thing, you're not solving the problem. What you really want is that you want the problem to be solved. And the worst way to solve the problem is to find a leader. I'm glad that you're calling me. Now that you have called me, for me, I get interest. Christmas coming. I know Christmas coming. What I want from you, instead of me going look for different people, you're already here, you can help me for so we can clean the city. What I'm trying to solve, I got before I came here, I got a full briefing. So what we will do, because I didn't know the crowd was going to be like this, I just thought I'm going to meet the leaders, but it's good. So I'm going to get a full document. We will meet to City Hall. We will meet on the 17th to City Hall. The 17th, at that time, all of us are going to City Hall. At that time I will meet at City Hall. I will have used that time with the leaders to understand when you go to City Hall, don't get free talking again. At that time, some issues will be solved. So today, today, the fire you see my face, you know what happened. You get your car where you see the point, but I think it's good. And I really respect and I appreciate your time. But I want to tell you, you need to be mindful. You have a very, very good case. Everybody you see among you believe in what you're doing. You want to help your country. Genuinely, you love your president. Genuinely, you will do anything possible to make your situation solved. I don't think you want to escalate anything. So I want to say to you, those of you who prepared, who believed in your country, those of you who believe in solving your issue, you're going to remain on our power. Don't yield to temptation. There are many saviors today. They have created themselves overnight. But the question is, where were them yesteryears? And that's what I love of some of them. I can all compete on one process. Some of you were political party leader there. Then after you lost the election, you say you civil society man. What sense does it make? But here is the real issue. The real issue here is for us to solve some of the things you face with.
Well, one of the supervisors of the beach workers has been speaking to KMTV News.
We are here in Claratown because we came to meet the Lord Mayor to express our grievances of our people from the slum community, the people that make this government to come to power. From Banja Hotel Africa, Nukutown, West Point, Mama Point, PS Street, up to Congo Town, Sinqua to Dwazon. These are people that have made this government into power, believing that yes, we have the hope for change, and this hope has come, and we are waiting for the change, and that's the only way we can bring the change, by inviting our leader not to get on the street to demonstrate, not to call our people. We got 5,000 workforce. If we put them on the street, we think it will cause a lot of problem for the government, and the international community will look at the government back. So we thought it wise to invite our leaders, to talk to our leaders, so that they can see the plight of the common people, the slum dwellers. We are the one that cleaning the beaches and protecting the beaches. Today you don't have the issue of cholera and diarrhea anymore. Today you don't have the issue of the too much sea erosion. Today Liberia have been named as #7 country in the world to invest in tourism in 2020. Liberia will be gaining billions of dollars next year from tourism. It's because of reclaiming Liberia beaches and waterway. We can do all of this work, then government over 18 months, and we are in the festive season. This is a Christmas season. New Year is coming. Our children are out of school. We are out of school. So we call the Lord Mayor. We want to say thank you to him. He came to our choir and he promised that he will solve this problem before the 17th. That he will pay this area and make sure that this project will continue. As the president said, through the Minister of Youth and Sport, he gave us the same message. So we hope on him. From now to the 10th, he said the leadership should sit down with him and discuss. And from now to the 17th, the problem will be solved.
But why did you have to wait up to December before raising your flag?
We've been raising it diplomatically. We've been talking to a lot of people, but they are not been listening to us. Because we have few people in the system that was giving wrong information to the government that this project does not exist, that this project is a ghost project, that the number does not exist. There are people that feel that they are the only Liberian, that other people are not seditious, and 90% of the people on the project are seditious. So today, the president, the Lord Mayor, everybody has understood that they were lying, that they are failures.
If you're just coming away, this is a reminder that you are watching the studio on KMTV with me, your presenter Zach Sherman. Stories we are following. Hundreds of beach workers called on government to settle a huge salary owed by the government, but Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Koji promises to intervene. Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations, D. Maxwell Kimaya, takes over as chairman of the African Group of Ambassadors to the United Nations for the month of December. Still stories for you after this break. Welcome back. This is News Today. A 3-day training workshop aimed at bringing forestry stakeholders up to speed on making the sector vibrant has come to a close. The event held in Monrovia was an initiative undertaken by the multi-stakeholder Forest Governance and Accountability Program MFGAP in continuation of its core mandate to reform the forestry sector. According to MFGAP team leader Leila Musaneni, the actors to include Ministry of Justice, Internal Affairs, Liberia Revenue Authority, civil society organizations, among others, will jointly craft ideas intended to make the difference in this sector.
MFGAP is supporting 3 ministries of government, the Minister of Internal Affairs, Minister of Justice, and the Liberia Revenue Authority. We're also supporting stakeholders, CSOs, civil society organizations that are involved in forestry sector issues. We also are supporting the independent Liberia media, also interested in the forestry sector issues. The objective of today's workshop was to bring together all our stakeholders with the partners that we are working with to understand the thinking behind MFGAP and maybe chart a way to work together moving forward on the VPA processes that are ongoing in Liberia, to understand the VPA process, to provide platform for people to discuss issues related to the VPA, as well as to provide information to the public. It's not for me to decentralize the issue of governance. There's the laws of Liberia that advise or mandate how forest governance should be decentralized or centralized. As you know, the FDA is the main government entity that is managing the forest estate of Liberia. We also have communities now being given a chance to manage their own forests. So in a way, although the Forestry Development Authority is still the big player in managing the forest.
Meanwhile, the multi-stakeholder forest governance and accountability program (MFGAP) team leader Lal Musanini has called on key stakeholders in the forestry sector to redouble their efforts in order for Liberia to address some of the economic challenges. She at the same time wants the media to play its part in reporting relevant issues on forestry that will benefit the country at large.
We hope that the stakeholders that we are working with will have more knowledge, will have more capacity, will understand the processes of the VPA better. We also hope that the independent media will be able to report on the VPA processes that are happening, and we just think that in general the Liberian people who are concerned about the forestry issues will be informed better.
How can you grade the level of cooperation with your partners? Cooperation with your partners?
Partners? I'm not quite sure which partners
The
you're talking
Ministry
about.
of Economy, Ministry of Internal Affairs, NRA, and that of Ministry of Finance, even HPA, that of LMC.
We are implementing the MFGAP through partners.
Yeah.
The DENEL, which everybody I think in Liberia is familiar with, is one of our partners. The HPA, Heritage Partner Associates, is also one of the implementing partners for MFGAP, and the Liberia Media Center is also a partner. But when you look at the kind of partners we have, you know that DENEL is very renowned for capacity building of organizations, leadership skills, provision. You also know that HPA, who is the heritage partner, is renowned for the legal side of the forestry sector development. And the LMC is working mainly with the media, all types of media. So we think that these three partners are really an excellent resource for rolling out the MFGAP activity.
Thank you. More smiles for the people of the principal borough of Nuku Town as national government continues to provide fixed lift to that densely populated community despite the current economic situation facing the nation and its people. As a means of fulfilling his promise to the people of Nuku Town, the Liberian Agency for Community Empowerment is said to be working aggressively with the construction of the over 60 units in order to meet up with the deadline. According to our latest tour, the project is now in its advanced stage, with the roofing and plastering of several units ongoing. The proposed Nuku Town City project, as President George Weah emphasized for the people of Nuku Town, is expected to be completed early 2020. According to the President's Special Aide, Sekou Kalasko Damaru, the President succeeded in transforming the lives of the ordinary people. The project, which is part 2 of the President's initiative in the borough of Nuku Town, when completed, will give additional fixed lift to the borough of Nuku Town, especially those residing along the coastal area of the borough. About 60 units, including modern warehouses, restaurants, and many others, are part of the phase 2 of the project. The people of District 16, Montserrat County, have all reasons to continue their accommodations to President Weah's government for its continued developmental initiatives to the people. It can be recalled that the government in 2018 initiated and completed the Coastal Defense Force project for the people, thereby preventing the sea from making them homeless in July of 2019, as well as completed and turned over 40 housing units. A Liberian journalist, Robert Haynes, has embarked on a campaign calling for journalists to be licensed. According to him, the profession is a noble one and should not be used as transit point for others. Mr. Haynes, speaking to KMTV News Thursday, said he feels embarrassed when people brand members of the Fourth Estate in a negative manner and inform something he noted should be changed. As part of his new initiative, he is working with other key stakeholders in the sector to ensure his endeavor is realized. The licensing of journalists in Liberia will bring added respect and viability to the sector, Mr. Haynes added.
It is not an occupation, it is a profession. So is nursing. People who are nurses, people who are doctors, they are lessened. And I'm calling for journalists in Liberia to be lessened.
Why?
Because it is a professional area, and professionalism lays with ethics. If you go outside of your ethics, you should be punished. This is this. If a nurse administers a treatment on a lady, and the lady or that person dies, the hospital or that person is taken to court. And if the person is found guilty, the lesson revoked. If a journalist writing a story, we need to go beyond Press Union of Liberia, which is the parent body, go beyond the PUA or just issuing a release out in solidarity of this person. We need to go beyond that. If Robert Haynes, as a journalist, writing a paper on somebody, defaming the character of somebody, and then taking me to court, and are found guilty, then my lesson needs to be revoked. If we try to do those things, then of course we're headed the right path.
What about the contrary? If journalists are not licensed, what do you hope to see?
I see what I see is that there will be too many people. Like in the morning you'll hear or you see some newspapers. Some people will write. You don't even know how they manage to get a newspaper. They just writing and getting all sorts of headlines. It is not a professional. You're not professional, but you're operating in a professional terrain. It hurts me who sat down in school for 4 years reading mass communication to be a professional journalist, and see some people who think they have done their apprenticeship, or because they're able to handle a microphone and scream in the morning hours, and then making people to believe, even though some have said they're not journalists, but they're using the airways to be able to put out things out there and people listening to it. And so what I see people not being listened and continue to do like this, though we have the Atura Camara press freedom or the act, but we need to be responsible people. It hurts me, our professional area, that's my profession. It hurts me to see people operating it. And economists will tell you the same. Nobody wants to see that profession to be rimmed out. Sometimes you hear people burning journalists say they are journalists, only because of some people who jumped into it of late, who chose to be use it as a conduit of getting rich, bringing blackmailing, spree and all of that. But this is a conversation we're hoping to have with the heads of media entities in the country, the parent body of journalists, which is the PUAL, and the Ministry of Information, Culture, Affairs and Tourism, to have people giving permit to operate.
A mother of a 6-year-old caustic soda victim, Midman Scott, is appealing for assistance to ensure her child's life is secure. Vanny Johnson, age 16, who hailed from Bombay County in 2016, innocently drank caustic soda which damaged his esophagus and is now living in pain. Currently, he does absolutely everything from a tube that is inserted on his stomach and normally feel pains while drinking. According to his mother, Mema Scott, the incident occurred behind her back when she went on her farm to look for food for her family, while a lady in the community had a caustic soda placed by Vanny but never thought he would have drunk it. Since 2016, Vanny's health situation is not improving and requires advanced treatment. Meman, a single mother of 5, is now the head of the family after her man, she noted, abandoned her since 2016 due to Vanny's situation, as his entire family, she alleged, does not care for she and her children.
While leading with grandma to go in the bush, the accident take place, so people can call me. Wow, go with washing, I see vomiting with blood. See vomiting, I ask my mom, I say, why vomiting? He said, I caused in dream. I say, you get it? He said, from the new one now, they call her Kebe. She's hoping happy crown. She said it was a mistake, and I'm expecting the boy to take the cost here when he already take it. The first hospital I taken to the Bomi hospital. On taking the Bomi hospital, when they do the check-up on him, they say we can't able like chemical reporting. So we refer if on the GFK. We send all that person to Jackson F. hospital in 2016 in August. When we go that person, the one the doctor tell me they still will do surgery on him, but they not solve the problem. He still need to travel, but we travel best. I had to do the surgery on him. When they do it, we're coming on better small. They send all back, we'll go back in the interior. We need to get worse again. When I come back, go MSS send me GFK. We go GFK, they do surgery now, they put a tube on him. They say that what they able to do for him to get him help, and they can find a way to travel. So they give me medical report. They say continue asking for help. Your son need to travel to go take better treatment because I esophageal damage from the prostate. So Laha asking for help. So Laha they were more clearing, get to know her from on Facebook too. She said send me get the boy 1 year visa and they deny the man. They should be running after a document. Me carry the boy here and do a surgery. So client reached to me, said that your son, if he agree, we run after the people, they carry the boy. I say yes, come, that the boy sick, and I want him to be alright, so I will agree to sign the people. I sign the people, she carry the boy. The boy made 1 year with her, she didn't carry the boy for the treatment, and bring the boy back. Now explain nothing, to say the hospital not even the condition or different thing, nothing. She must say visa expired, she left and go back. I stay asking help again, going over radio doing SOS call for people to feel for him. They must get help and not get nothing. The father in here, father can get help. The father and family, all of them turn back. Stay asking for help. Help people must help me for finding the condition in here. It be safe when he's not have nothing.
Well, folks, with that SOS call coming from a 6-year-old custody victim's mother, that's how we called the news presentation a day. But before we go here, once again, the headlines. Hundreds of beach workers called on government to settle huge salaries owed by the government, but Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Koji promises to intervene. Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations, D. Maswe Kimia, takes over as chairman of the African group of ambassadors to the United Nations for the month of December. Thanks for your viewing pleasure. My name is Zach Sherman. Do have yourself a wonderful day.